Okay, chapter 7 um, of part 2 of Gulliver's Travels, The Voyage to Brobdingnag, where Swift or Gulliver does damage control, saying like, "Oh, I really apologize for the king's terrible takedown of his country, which he insists he loves, and indeed he says, I really tried everything to make it even super more positive, but he kept on asking me inconvenient questions and drawing out stuff, but I really tried to put a positive spin on everything, and still came up with this very dark, horrible view of of uh, the kingdom the three kingdoms of the British Isles. Yes, and he said, and then Gulliver goes on to illustrate how narrow thinking his king is, because he says like, oh well, we've come up with gunpowder. You can kill tons of people, and you can bust down walls, and you can just do horrible damages. And he says like, oh, the king was so narrow-minded. He reacted with horror to my suggestion, because he offers like, I know how to make it, and I figure I can make it like you can make cannons and pistols and stuff like that, and you'll become the absolute dictator of your people. You'll have complete dominion over them, absolute power. And the king reacts with horror and says, no, I don't want this, and do not mention this again. And it's like, Gulliver's like, wow, what a primitive guy this guy is. It's like, this is probably the clearest example of, oh, Gulliver is a particular type of figure that is constructed by Swift. We definitely should not take, I wasn't taking Gulliver as a Swift, as a stand-in for Swift, but in here you can really see it. I mean, he's super sunny about his country and reacts to horror to the king's thing, but then he's like, he offers like, to put terrible engines of destruction in the guy's hand, and then refuses. Now he does note that the Brobdingnags do actually have a standing army. It's an army of citizens who, they're not standing. I'd say it's like, they come together, but they're made up of farmers in the country, and they're made up of merchants in the city. And like in the farmers in the country go underneath their landlords, and in the city they're like underneath the kind of the masters in the city. So they've got a I guess it's more of like a militia that they have. And it's like, well, why do you need a militia? And it's like, well, like other human beings, they still do fall to the thing of either having the nobles get restive and try and take over, the people get restive and try and take it over, or the king tries to take too much power and become an absolute tyrant and take over. And I guess the last one was putting down the nobles, that the king did a while ago. So that part of the figuring out kind of a solution for a peace, a balance, was the standing militia to sort of keep everybody in order, stuff like that. They also have a thing about like, oh, we're pretty convinced that we used to be much larger, that there's been a degeneration of the Brobdingnags. Like, we used to be giants, which, it's funny from Gulliver's point of view, they're not. And I mean, this, as the notes say, that's an idea as old as Homer, the idea that we're, slowly declining as thing, and becoming smaller and weaker and less noble and amazing. And they seem to have the same thing here, and as evidence that they've dug up gigantic bones. And I don't think we're talking about dinosaurs. I think we're talking about actually digging up what to the Brobdingnags are giants there as well. Yeah, I'm gonna do a very quick check-in there. That's what I've got for today on Gulliver's Travels. But it's like, yeah, Gulliver going, I can give you like weapons to just massacre everybody. And it's just like, oh, I can get, actually he's not saying it in a malevolent tone. He's saying it in a kind of a matter of fact, like, oh, wouldn't you want this? This is what all civilized people have. Like, this is what all of Europe, obviously has. And you'd be considered, completely narrow and not very sophisticated if you didn't have weapons of mass destruction. That's our society then and our society now. It's like, But yes, the whole thing of Gulliver being like, I love my country, I would never say any thing horrible about it. It was the king, this made up king of Brobdingnag, who said it. Is Swift definitely having his fun. All right, I'll leave it there. More videos later.